that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this Degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
When really, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to episode number 92 of the Degen Roundtable Book Club. My name is Will Stevenson. I'm going to be your host for tonight. We're going to be covering an excellent book, not really the entire book. We're covering a 1 hour video that is like a very small excerpt of the idea from the book, but we're covering the Law of Nations tonight. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time. I am joined by two fantastic gentlemen. We've got my wonderful, awesome brother, Mr. Sam Stevenson. For those of you guys that don't know, Sam is the owner of Rapid Designs, and he does drafting, and he helps builders specifically get their plans for their houses drawn really, really quick. And he used to be a wonderful, awesome member of Book Club, and he's rejoining us. The prodigal son has returned, ladies and germs. It's good to have you back, brother Sam. Welcome, welcome. And we're also joined by Mr. Zenith. All of you guys already, or for those of you who don't know, Zenith is our legal and government analyst here over on the Degen Roundtable, and I'm quite excited to be exploring the idea of the nation at its founding, and like what the principles are, and all the laws in the not laws in the like, you know, written down in a book and processed somewhere, but like the idea of natural law and all that stuff as it occurs. So gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. It's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be a great time. Oh, and by the way, my name is Will. I'm a tower climber who travels the states and builds TV towers. And in my free time, I like to talk cryptocurrency and self-improvement to assholes and degenerates such as yourselves. So welcome to the show. Gentlemen, how are you doing? What's new and exciting with you? Sam, broski, it's been a while since you've been on Book Club. What inspired you to come back this week? It was quite a surprise to get the text being like, "Yo, dude, I want to be on Book Club. What are we covering?"
Well, man, I can't exactly say what the thing was, but there was just a vibe that I needed to be back with the Degens, having a good time talking about, you know, the laws of America and all the wonderful things that we have going on here in this fabulous country. So it's great to be back. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So what's new and exciting with you, man? What have you been up to? It's been man, I don't know, maybe like a year and some change since last you streamed with us. Fill the folks in at home who haven't seen you in a long time about like what's going on. What's new in your life?
Well, yeah, thanks for asking. So I guess the first thing I would say is that I was drawing houses back then. I am still drawing houses now, and hopefully still be drawing houses a year from now. I suppose one of the main differences, I am currently in the Sam van, if you would call it that. This is a Ford Transit van, and it's going to be a mobile podcast studio. It's got a kitchen in the back, and it's in construction currently, but hopefully going to be done by the end of 2026. And I'll be able to travel around and meet people and do cool things. So that's the dream. And riding my bike also is convenient to have a traveling van for. So
can the folks at home get a glimpse at the van? Is it messy? Are you able to give us like a little visual tour of your setup?
Not easily. I have a camera on a tripod right there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you do that. Okay, it's you guys. Okay, let me paint a picture for you guys. So it's basically, it looks like the inside of a framed house, but it's inside, you know, a van, like maybe, I don't know, 6 foot wide, 6 foot tall, something like that. And it's got, like, you can see the insulation behind Sam and all the framing. He's done a lot of great work putting this thing together. It looks like you're inside a house that's undergone construction, but in reality, like, it's a van, and it's pretty cool. So I'm happy that your mobile life setup is super cool and super awesome. You're able to go and do bike rides and do cool things, and also do like really high quality streaming. And you've got the Elon Musk internet, don't you? On top of that,
do.
man. So
Yep.
I gotta say your image is very crisp, and the upload quality is fantastic. So shout out to you, broski. Good to see you. We're gonna move on to Zenith though. Enough about you, brother. Zenith, dude, how are you doing, man? What's new and exciting with you?
It's good to see both you gentlemen. Sam, always happy to have you back on here. It's always a good time when you're here. But I am just doing what I do, hanging out and getting ready for already trying to plan Jerome Powell's retirement party for the it's going to be the stream that's May 3rd. So that's
May 3rd,
because his last Federal Reserve meeting is the Wednesday before that. But outside of that, just doing what I do, hanging out. Probably going to play some golf this week, buying stupid, dumb new watches that are NASA themed. But outside of that, nothing crazy.
Nice. We do like the new watches. We like the fancy stuff. Recently, you and Kenturian, I think, were talking about golf clubs and getting or no, it was you and Brendan talking because you had broken your 5-iron or whatever, so you get to reshaft it. Has that happened yet? Are you still putting that off the back burner?
It's still on the back burner, but I played last week, and the great irony is that it did actually affect my game. I was on a par 5, and I was like 210 yards out, and I'm like, wow, this would be perfect distance for my 5-iron. If I had one.
Oh damn. You got shafted, good sir, hoisted by your own petard, as one of my English speaking friends would say. So that's freaking hilarious, dude.
Now I just have the rabbit hole of, okay, well, if I fix my 5-iron, it's gonna have a different shaft than the rest of my irons. So then I should probably reshaft all my irons. But if I'm spending that much money on 15-year-old clubs, why don't I just buy new clubs? And it's like,
I mean, you're kind of like logicking yourself into a circle here. What you really should do is you should just fix the problem that you have and then deal with other problems later. And Mama Dog has gone and got herself tangled up on a tree. Speaking of problems, this bitch does not know how to not walk in circles around things that she's right next to. So she's going to be stuck in a circle for the entire stream because I'm not going to go save her. I'm not going to fix her. So it's just fun and hilarious and awesome. But yeah, dude, that's hilarious that you that you're stuck in this limbo world of like I can't fix the one, and or well, you can, but you're choosing not to, because if you're gonna fix the one, you might as well fix them all. I fucking love it. That's great.
Classic. While you're in there, might as well.
Yep.
But
Yep.
in this case,
We got
it's just justifying $1,000 on golf clubs effectively.
Yeah. You're convincing yourself to spend money on amusing pieces of metal rather than buying this fucking dip that we're in, broski. Man, we've been in a dip forever. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We should get on to one of the better parts of the show. We've got some folks at home who have some thoughts for you, Mr. Zenith, regarding the golf clubs and everything. It's time, ladies and germs, for the chat motherfucking shoutouts, the best part of the show, the most fantastic part of the show, where the folks get shouted out for being cool and awesome at home. So let's see what we have over here. Rolling in numero uno tonight, we've got Mr. Funk Master Hex up in the Great White North saying, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Friday work ended with 4 o'clock cocktails, so I'm primed and ready for the weekend, he says, with his drink in hand. Good to see you, sir. Welcome, Mr. Funk Master Hex. We love you, broski. We're also joined by another amigo who loves the chat motherfucking shoutouts. We are. And then I don't know what the O above is. I guess it's like hands up in the air or something like that. But we're the youth of the nation and the chat, or at the chat. So there we go. Good to see you, Mr. Hexkin Lost in Asia. Shout out to you. Buy crypto for now. By the way, Zenith, Mr. Funk Master Hex is mirroring my sentiment. Yep. Buy the crypto now and get the top shelf golf clubs after we moon and after we go up crazy in price and do all that other good stuff. I must say that I agree with Mr. Funk Master Hex. So that's where we're at right now. Oh, hello, Mama Dog. You seem to have unfucked yourself. That is hilarious. But yes, that concludes the chat motherfucking shoutouts. Hey, pretty girl. How's it going? I'm trying to stream right now. That concludes the shoutouts. Ladies and germs, I'm going to run you through a quick little synopsis of what was this piece of content that we covered. So for those of you guys that don't know, Law of Nations by Vattel is like a 600-page book that was written in like 1750s, and it was one of the more important books. Oh my God, this bitch is gonna fucking rip my power cord out or something. I gotta hold the cable here so she doesn't do anything crazy. But Law of Nations was written by Vattel in the 1700s, and it was one of like the most important documents that the founding fathers of the United States kept referring to time after time after time after time when they were coming up with like the Constitution, they were coming up with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and all that stuff. It's basically Elmer de Vattel he was the son of some sort of lawyer or some sort of not like legalese figure, and then he spent a lot of his time as a jurist and also studied like a lot of philosophy and studied a lot of theology and whole bunch of other stuff, and he came up with this idea that basically like all nations are both like collectives of people, but they also organize and represent themselves as individuals, and so as such they need to like there's basically like a logical and natural way that they conduct themselves where they can interact with other nations and have a good time and basically be like productive and not at war all the time and not doing a whole bunch of stuff. Because at the time that he wrote it, England, I think, and most of Europe had been at war for about 600 or so years or something like that. And so they really wanted to basically be done with war and be done with fighting and like be at peace with each other and understand what it means to like represent a nation that's not just like constantly attacking and squabbling with other nations and things. So that was more or less the reason behind why he wrote the book. And I could be a little bit wrong there. Again, we didn't read the actual book. We listened to a 1-hour podcast that covers like the idea of the book and how it applies to the founding of America and stuff. So that's most of what we're going to be covering, but that's the idea of the book itself. So Sam, you had some interesting thoughts when you called me the other day to talk about what you thought of this film. Can you share those thoughts with the folks at home? Because I thought it was quite hilarious and quite amusing.
If you're referring to the part where I described like I felt like I was in like a third grade classroom with a vacuum tube TV at the front of on like a big metal stand at the front of this classroom, and we're all just sitting here trying to learn about America with some ridiculous documentary, and like 15 minutes into the documentary and they're still playing the intro music. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, it was an interesting production value. Zenith, did you have any thoughts on the video?
So obviously we're trying to take a book that, according to the Amazon posting, is 800 pages long.
Oh, 800.
Excuse me, 896 pages long.
Damn. The PDF I had was 630. Holy shit.
Well, it might just be better on the 8.5 by 11 versus the actual printing. But
okay.
The point is, like, we're trying to take this really long book and try to condense it down to an hour with modern folks. They make a lot of very good points. I happen to think that they don't quite back up a lot of the claims with any like really good trains of logic or substantiate it with exact examples and stuff. But I will say I do agree with pretty much all the main points that are raised with it. And I probably even go further than that, because we're talking about like money, shouting that we're a democracy, even though we're not. Talking about judicial overreach, violation of rules versus violation of laws, legislatures delegating authority to the executive instead of actually doing their freaking job, and then the progressive timeline that is the Supreme Court just expanding its own power over the course of 250 years. So believe me, I'm there. I just think you need a little bit more. And as far as the natural law stuff, the research or Law of Nations, the research I was looking into it, it's very much kind of following some of the books that we've covered in the past, specifically How to Think Like Socrates is a big one. And then How to Think Like a Roman Emperor gets a little bit into it, but not as much. But we did kind of miss some of the middle ground stuff. But we did cover The Law by Bastiat, who was also a Frenchman, but came a little bit afterwards. So doesn't quite fit into this one, but his ideas and thinking were referenced in the video as well. Specifically, the idea that once the people realize that they can just vote themselves money from the treasury, there's no incentive not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the issues that they were positing throughout the video, and I approached the video with like a total suspension of disbelief, and you're definitely right that they missed a lot. They didn't cover a lot of the stuff that I think that Law of Nations is actually about. They mostly just focused on the United States and problems that it has.
They kept
Is that what you
referencing
were
it,
trying to
though.
say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. It's definitely it's in the modern context of, gosh, that was probably put out, I think it was last year, but at the same time, it's probably pretty relevant to anything pretty much since like 2001 to now. But overall, yeah, they reference Law of Nations a lot, and they're like, this was the thing that influenced all these guys, and they show a ton of quotes of people being like, yes, the Law of Nations deeply influenced the founding documents. It's like, great. Can you point to how it did it? And they didn't really do that part.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of claims that the speakers in the video made that were like, I was like, oh, I want to hear more. Like one of the ladies, man, I can't remember for the life of me what it was that she said, but she just like said some comment in passing, like, oh yeah, it was that the post office is the biggest bank in the world, and I was like, ooh, I would like to know more. Tell me more. And then she just proceeds to not say anything else about it, and
Refuses
so
to
like,
elaborate.
yeah, I was like, what? God bless America. But like it's an hour-long video, so like what can you really get out of it? I will say that it was produced by a bunch of people that are all of the same mind of the same camp, and it sounded like they were all like some sort of professor or some sort of teacher in a very particular realm of like this world of governance and teaching folks at home about history and stuff. So it was quite fascinatingly produced, and I was reading through the credits at the very end of the film, and I was like, oh shit, this is like pretty intentionally put together. Like other than Sam mentioning earlier, like the music's still playing like most of the way through. That's one of the things I noticed about YouTubers a lot too, is they'll have like background music playing while they're talking or whatever, and it's like that's always been a thing that fascinates me, why people do that. But yeah, it was an interesting video. So
I can try to answer that question as a YouTuber
oh yeah,
that has done that myself.
okay. Tell me.
It helps kind of just keep the audience engaged as opposed to just listening to just straight dialogue. It kind of creates a more immersive experience to keep you focused in. But also at the same time, it might also just be a reflection of the people making videos who like, wow, I hate listening to my own voice. I need anything else to help me get through this editing process.
Huh. But do you think we should start doing that for the Degen Roundtable? Maybe like have some sort of like just super gentle beats playing at like 10% volume in the background or something. Like
Maybe we can try it, but at the same time, gonna have to find some copyright-free music, figure out how to put it on loop, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I think podcasts, do a pretty decent job of trying to keep like, if you have good conversational flow, there's not really dead space, so you don't need it as much. But if you're trying to like just go straight data at people, and then that. But if you can have a conversational flow, I think it kind of just still captures the mind.
Like, I wonder if it works better for like solo streamers or something like yeah, when there's no back and forth, because we're basically hanging out, we're homies having a good time and doing. Sam, do you ever do that on any of your shows? Do you play music in the background, or do you have like that like elevator beats sort of thing during your streams? I don't think I've noticed it if you do.
No, I definitely would prefer to keep that out. If it's going to be like an intro, then like fade it out.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But like it's not adding value. So in my
that's
case,
fair.
Yeah.
Speaking of adding value, real quick, we got some other folks who have just joined us. Shout out to Mr. Slide 180, my good friend Josh, who has popped on in here with the cheers. Good to see you, broski. Welcome to the stream. Glad we'd have you with us for book club, talking about laws and nations and things. We've also been joined by a great Degen of the book club realm, Mr. Moonpilled Rational Optics, who says, "Evening, gentlemen," and also Zenith doesn't open the book for anything less than 700 pages. So that is absolutely right. Mr. Zenith has some standards, guys. He doesn't crack them books open unless he's gonna be committing, what is it?
I need a nice meaty book to really crack into.
Masochism?
And just open up and get in there. Masochism, yes, that is the correct word.
Masochism, yeah. It's like, unless I'm gonna suffer, I'm not going to read this damn book. And I just got attacked by a tick. That is something to be very aware of. By the way, guys, if you ever spot ticks with a little white star on them, then definitely stay the fuck away from them, and definitely try not to let them latch onto you, because those are lone star ticks. So be careful out there. Don't get no ticks. Wow, that was spooky. He was crawling on my leg and I caught him. But yes. And also we've been joined by Mr. Moondog712. Everyone knows and loves Mr. Moondog. Shout out to you, good sir. Son of a bitch. Speaking of dogs, my dog just jumped off the fucking. Oh wait, no, she's fine. Okay. She's on a leash and she just jumped off the patio. And I'm like, oh my God, did she just fucking hang herself? My Jesus. If that was the end of Mama Dog, is like jumping off the patio and getting yoinked by her by her own collar while I'm over here streaming, then that would be quite funny. But man, this bitch is just fucking retarded. Anyways, we're joined by Mr. Moondog. Mama Dog is just fine. Mr. Moondog is also just fine. Mr. Moondog says, ahoy, what's up, good sir? Welcome to the stream. Everyone loves Moondog. A fantastic addition to the DGen Roundtable space. And I got to say, of wonderful help in the world of like helping me on my journey of creating the nation of the DGen Roundtable and helping me like generate the founding documents and doing all that cool and awesome stuff. So frickin' shout out to you, Mr. Moondog, good sir. He is part of the reason that I chose this book. Though like he didn't spur me to do it or anything. It's just like he and I's work towards building the nation of the DGen Roundtable, whatever that ends up amounting to, is kind of what brought me into this direction. So pretty cool and pretty awesome. So good to see you, Moondog. Welcome to the stream, broski. Glad that we could have you with us today. And now, ladies and germs, it's time to start asking some question-a-roonies about things that we thought from the video. So the first question that I have for you gentlemen is, do you guys think that the governments of today's day and age, the governments of the nations, do you think that they actually represent the will of the people anymore? And I guess I'll tailor it specifically to the US government, the government of the United States of America. Do you guys think that they represent the will of the people? And I'll start with Mr. Sam. When it comes to the people of America, what do you think, broski?
Yes, absolutely. I think that our government has our perfect goodwill in mind, and they are out here trying to help all of the individuals of America have better lives.
That's an excellent point, Sam. I never really thought about it like that until you say it here on camera.
And you can tell
because
of all of the wonderful lives that most of the Americans have.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, I think that like they do a good job going after the things that they want, which I think anybody would do in their position. So like, I'm not going to hate on them for it, because like they're in the system that we have. But I think I'm not at a point in my life where voting has made a lot of sense, because it's like I'm still learning how the system works, to be like, okay, this is what my vote does. This is how it functions. This is the kind of person I would vote for. Like, maybe communism is a great idea. I just gotta figure all that out as you go.
I'm gonna give you a spoiler. The answer is no.
The answer is, of course, communism is the bestism.
The answer is no, unless you're one of the people at the top, in which case it's not bad for temporarily.
The government, I would agree, and that I kind of wanted to start this whole discussion off on the best and most correctest foot, which is that. Oh no, is my internet cutting out? Can you guys? You guys still? Okay, sweet. It must just be my laptop, which is perfectly fine as long as my phone works. But like, the government definitely does not represent the will of the people. Like, I would say that most of the people in America are pretty damn not cool with the way that things are going in general, and are like not cool with the way things are going in specificity in their own particular way. Like, everybody, I would say that everybody's probably pretty fed up with things. And one of the like cornerstones of the video that they kept bringing up over and over again. And also, I listened to the video like fucking 8 or 9 times, so this might just be that it got brought up over and over again because I was listening to it on repeat on the drive up to this place. But like, they kept talking about like the people are the sovereigns, like the people are the sovereign, and the government is the servant. Meaning like the people are the ones that are free and that do not have to like abide by laws that are not natural, and the government is the one that is meant to serve the people and not like be in charge of the people. The government is meant to be like a service, and the people are meant to be the served sort of idea. Like, you know, you look at police cars and it says to protect and to serve, and like the political appointees are they're generally like called like, you know, servants of the state, or like my job is to serve the people, you know, as a congressman or as a senator or something like that. It's like the whole idea is it's about service, and it just doesn't seem that way in practicality. Like that's the ideology of the whole thing, but it doesn't seem that way in praxeology. So that's how I wanted to kind of sort of start the whole thing. So Zenith, it looks like you're
jumping into the
there.
questions here real quick. We barely even covered the source material on this one, so I'll try to answer your question by doing a little bit of a dive into the material as well.
Okay.
So
I never did the synopsis, did I? Fuck. Go
is
ahead.
the
Sorry,
way
bro.
things currently are representative of the will of the people inside of that nation? Okay. So, Law of Nation, the book that the video is derived from, the core thesis is that a nation is a moral person, a collective with rights and duties derived from natural law. The author builds on previous Enlightenment philosophy, we're talking like John Locke on this one, and argues that 1, nations exist in a state of nature relative to each other. 2, there is no global sovereign above them, and based on this, you can assume that the rules come from natural law, which is the basis of the writing, but also custom and mutual agreement, which is agreement with other nations or the people inside of it. He says that what makes a nation is that 1, you have a political society, a group of people united under a singular government, and they must act with a single will externally as the nation. Sovereignty is number 2, supreme authority within its own borders and independence control from external sources of authority. Number 3 is territory, a defined space where the authority can be exercised, and it must be possessed and maintained. And then lastly is self-preservation. The nation has the right to defend itself, secure resources, and maintain its existence. So, based on this, the nations have natural rights similar to individuals, and this pretty much breaks down to equality, independence, self-defense, and property rights, saying that the nations are pretty much on like international law level, saying that you're equal to each other in the sense that you are nations and nations deal with nations. It's not equal in like stature, power, resources, that kind of stuff. That's just given. Independence, this is kind of saying that states should not interfere with other affairs. This is actually the non-aggression principle that is rooted in natural law, pretty much saying that you are expecting other people not to encroach on you, therefore you should not encroach on other people. Once you start breaking the non-aggression principle, that's where you start to see the breakdown, and you start to see how these things resolve themselves, whether through trying to ignore it, diplomacy, or conflict. Self-defense, that's where you get into the conflict, saying that war is justified for preservation in specific cases when you can identify it logically. And then the last is property rights. Territory is owned and defended, and boy, have we argued with a lot of other nations about what is property and who gets what. I'm referring to a lot of different stuff from my time in the Coast Guard. There's it's like the International Treaty of the Seas, which all the other nations were like, yes, we should do this. And then the U.S. is like, you guys can do that. That's cool. We like that. And they're like, you going to sign? And we're like, absolutely not. We love harvesting resources from the ocean, and we will defend your rules against you guys. But at the same time, don't expect much from us. And then additionally, it gets into like all sorts of stuff. Space is a big question on this one as well, but we kind of have an issue or an answer. So those 4 things: equality, independence, self-defense, property rights. Those are the rights of the nation. Now we have the duties of the nation. Okay. Based on that, here's what you have to do if you want these rights. Respect other nations' sovereignty. Okay. Honor your treaties. If you make a deal, you better uphold your end of the agreement. Number 3, avoid unnecessary harm. That one ties into the whole war thing, which is unnecessary. And then lastly is act in good faith. It's kind of like, look, we can create a prisoner's dilemma real quick if we start having bad faith actors. So that's part of what the author is really writing on this one. So, based on this criteria, to answer your question, is the U.S. as it stands right now adhering to the will of the people? Okay, well, the point number one of what makes a nation is political society, a group of people united under a single government. Yes, we are all American citizens, and we do relatively act unilaterally when it comes to external will dealing with other nations. Granted, there's definitely infighting and disagreement about how to do these things, but up to the point that we're at now, it has been very clear that yeah, the US does move as a single cohesive unit with one leadership helm, and that appears to be the way. As far as the sovereignty and territory, yeah, nobody else is enforcing laws inside of the United States, and the territory is very clear and very explicit. Self-preservation is also working very well because we are very able to defend ourselves. In fact, it's probably the number one thing that we can do. Securing resources, yep, still have a lot of natural resources, very good at making good on that, and maintaining existence. Yes, we are still very good at ensuring that the country is not falling apart. So, based on the author's framing of the Law of Nations, the answer is yes, it is adhering to that. I think the deeper question you're kind of getting to here is like, okay, on the outside looking in, the United States still is a single unilateral force that is able to operate in an effective manner. Internally, about who is getting control of the helm, that has been the political issue that spans the entire history of the country. I would agree with you and also the video that there's a lot more turmoil in the country and a lot more disagreement when it comes to exactly what is going on. We see a lot more different groups of folks fighting for control of it. We do have the two-party system, which has broken down to Democrats and Republicans. But even inside of each one of those parties, you can see many different factions that are all trying to rally amongst each others, try to like form coalitions in order to get certain people towards that helm in an attempt to kind of get their specific ideology towards the front of the tent that they belong to, if that makes sense.
That was a lot, bro. I think. Can you kind of like sum it up succinctly? Is it like, yes, from the outside it looks like the government is the will of the people. From the inside, it's all fucked. Or well, it's not all fucked, but it's a big mess.
So based on the framing of the book that we're covering, the nation still is cohesive because it is still operating, and it's still operating amongst other nations very well. Mm-hmm. Internally, there is more conflict and disagreement going on, and it definitely feels like the nation might not be working. But I would actually argue that a lot of the angst that is felt in today's society is actually separate from the political question. But unfortunately, the political has driven a lot of those issues. So they're not inherently political as the things that you're pointing to when it comes to like prices, the ability to, well, we can still move around pretty good, although freaking airline tickets are $400 minimum for anything these days. But what to do with taxes, what to do inside of states, the balance between federal and state power. Yeah, all that stuff it's very much, these are symptoms, and the cause is somewhat political, but it's not entirely.
Yeah. It's like, well, part of the whole reason that we started this show, part of the whole reason that Degen Roundtable exists is because it's like, oh shit, the financial system sucks, which is like, it's one of the things that is like a part of being a nation, is having some sort of system of currency and exchange with which you can do business with all the people inside of the nation and business outside of the nation. And like,
according to the author, that's actually not listed.
Well, it's not
listed.
It's not listed from Vattel, but it is like, it's functionally necessary for like, you know, individuals to interact with each other and exchange goods and services and things.
Yeah.
And like there's been times where the government has in the past tried to step in and be like, hey, Congress is going to determine the rules for currency, and then a bunch of like people who propose these ideas end up getting shot by people associated with bankers and
Wow, we're getting
large
tinfoil hat
international
real quick tonight. Okay.
international yeah okay, let me dial it back a little bit. Currency is important, and part of the reason that we started this channel is because like the currency system doesn't work very well, and so we're like looking for ways to break out of it or find other options while still operating inside of it, and yada 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 yada. So like a big part of the Degen Roundtable in my like own opinion and interpretation is rooted in the fact that like um there's flaws in the financial system. I don't know. Does that sort of kind of make sense? Are you with me? Are you with me there? And the financial system being part of the nation itself.
I think you
Maybe
might
not
be putting the
necessarily.
cart before the horse, so to speak, which is
Okay.
we are here to make money through crypto. One of the reasons that we're able to do that is that the money system is inherently flawed.
Gotcha. That's true. Yes. That is my position. I don't know about the cart before the horse thing, but anyways, that's where I sit. So
we are not
for the
here
purpose of
because money is flawed. We are here because we are interested in crypto. Part of what makes crypto so interesting is that the money is flawed. It's
okay,
just
there you go.
Reordering it. There you go.
I gotcha. That's fair enough. I definitely am much more interested in making money than I am fixing the world. So there is that,
You're
or
just
fixing
trying
the
to
financial system.
Use the broken system like everyone else.
Yeah.
You operate with what you got.
Yeah.
We're here. We got to figure it out.
Yeah. Beggars can't really be choosers, I suppose. I don't know how. So your answer to the question is like from outside. Yeah, the government.
The nation is
reflects the will of the
functioning as a
people.
nation. The people inside of it just feel angsty and don't like how it's run.
Yeah. Do you think there's a breaking point? It's like somewhere along that path.
I mean, there's always a breaking point. There's, gosh, tons of people that have tried to study this stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of things that people point to is debasement of a currency, external conflict, or a lot of other indicators that kind of show up. It's not like the driving cause, but one thing that people point to a lot is that when the marriage age of a nation gets above the average age of marrying in a nation gets above like 28, that's when the youth starts to revolt. And we are now at, I believe, like 30 and a half ish, approaching
Ooh.
31. So again, that is not the driver of internal conflict, but it is an indicator that has been used previously for other nations historically. And we're talking like going back many centuries, thousands of years, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean that tracks. I wonder if like we're on the slow decline, if we're on the up and up, if it's going to last for a long time. If not, I suppose all of these queries and all these quandaries are like way outside of my pay grade or outside of my like ability to do anything, but it's still something that I think about from time to time. I don't know. That's my position. I want to bring it back to the like some of the more interesting topics of the stream. So like the first thing that I want to kind of cover is Vattel's premise that laws of nature are above like the laws that are like written down and like passed by Congress or decided in Parliament or things of that nature. So for the folks at home that aren't aware, like basically the point that Vattel makes in the original book is that like laws of nature essentially come from God. They exist, whether you're atheist or not, like they come from somewhere that is bigger than us. And the easy placeholder for that is God. Call it Allah, call it Scientology, call it like just the rules of getting along with people or something like that. Like the laws of nature are essentially like don't harm people, have good relationships, work together with people that invested you, and oppose the people that are your enemies. Things of that nature or something. But one of the points that was argued in the video is that like even if someone's an atheist, they still sort of kind of abide by the laws of nature. Did this statement itself strike any of you guys as interesting? Like do laws of nature apply to everyone? Do they only apply to religious people? Is it like closed-minded to call it like to call it religious or something? Did you guys have any thoughts about this particular point that was in the book? Because that was something that struck me as interesting.
Sam, you take this one first. I got a lengthy answer.
Oh boy.
I'll be honest, I can hear that you're talking to me, but I think my signal might be dropping in and out. So go ahead first, Zenith.
Alrighty, so the idea that natural law does not require religious belief. That is, in fact, one of the core tenets of natural law theory itself. So, to get down into this one, so last answer was covering the book. This is covering the base of the book. So, natural law exists from a couple core tenets. Number one is that moral order is it's objective. The thing here is that the core point of this one is that it is not something that is created or found, but it is discovered. The way that you discover it is by using logic and reason. So this is where we get the shout out to Socrates, which is that you can reason yourself into this stuff. He is actually the origin of natural law. Socrates, Greek, he doesn't adhere to any religion that exists today, pretty much. So, based on that, you can say that, okay, the thing that really carries in natural law is pretty much rational thought that observes human life and how it flourishes best. Human flourishing really is the goal of natural law. It is the thing that is determined to be what is the good. The good is human flourishing. So, the things that help human flourishing are the things that make up natural law. Natural law exists outside of religion. Religion did play a massive part in the founding of the United States. In fact, a lot of the history of a lot of the people that came to the United States before it was a nation is Protestant Christians that were trying to, get away from the Catholic Church effectively. So as a result of that, you kind of get a lot of the other basic stuff going on here when it comes to natural law that's separate from religion. So you get self-preservation, natural rights. This is where we get life, liberty, and property. That's right, John Locke. It's not life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We're going property on this one. Equality. On a moral standing, everyone is equal. Reciprocity and non-harm. Again, this is the non-aggression principle. And then lastly, consent and legitimacy. It's saying that legitimate authority rises from consent and alignment with natural law. If you don't have either of those, you're out of balance here. So anything that is not consented to is not really alignment with it. And if you don't have the other tenets of natural law, you can't even consent to it if you want to. This last one is actually a bit of a tenet that gets warped when it comes to natural law and is really used by people that go down the path of moral objectivism, which is fundamentally against natural law. Natural law is stating that what is moral can be observed regardless of culture, customs, laws in place. Moral objectivity is saying that if I believe it is moral, therefore it is moral, and that you end up with a bunch of fractioned like moral objectives and ways that people view it. And then ultimately you can also get the consent piece, which is where you go the hyper libertarian route, which is that as long as I consent to it, it should be fine. And it's like, no, that again, reference rule number one, it has to be observable. Just because you consent to it doesn't mean it can break the rest of the rules.
I think that
to answer your question, no, natural law is not founded in religious beliefs. Therefore, even if you're an atheist, moral law is the thing that atheistic moral guidance is built on. It is the bedrock for it.
Yeah, so because it's discoverable by anybody, it's not like
reason.
Through logic and reason, it's not like the thing that's like imposed upon because a powerful being put it to be, which that makes a lot of sense. That's a good way to
law
Go
is
ahead.
that these are the things that you can observe in nature outside of society and government. If you are in nature and you kind of just exist next to other people, what is the best moral way to interact with those people? Once you get to society and culture, you build on top of natural law and you start to build cohesive things like governments, rules of law, structures, institutions, that kind of stuff. So the natural law stuff, this is where you get the idea of the human rights and where rights come from. Because you can say that rights come from God, even if you don't believe in God, you just believe in whatever created our physical reality. That is where the rights come from. The rights do not come from the government built on top of it. They come from the things that you should be observing if you were outside of society in nature.
Yeah, like those rights existed with or without the government. The government is there to enforce the rights that already exist. It's its job to find and repeat those and be like the arm, but like it's not the job to be the decider. Kind of like, it's not the police's job to determine what the laws are. It's the police's job to basically just be like, hey, this is the thing, and so you must, like, you sort of kind of got to do it. Is that what you're sort of saying, or am I misinterpreting it a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. I'm not talking about like how like police should operate. It's like this.
Yeah,
is
that
the
was a
basis.
bad analogy.
No, you're fine. This is the basis for the Bill of Rights, honestly. A lot of the stuff
Yeah.
from the Bill of Rights comes from this. And then the other half of the Bill of Rights, which talks about like governmental structure, is based on the founding principles of the country that are a step on top of this.
Mhm.
So that's where you get like the idea of federalism and stuff like that.
And this also, like, where the whole idea of like we hold these truths to be self-evident. It's like, look, these things don't exist because we said them. They exist and we found it, and we're showing you guys that it's the way the truth and the light, I suppose, or something
Correct.
along those
It's
lines.
like when we talk about a lot of the other books we've covered, it's like these are
Mhm.
ideas that like we've kind of known, but the purpose of this book is that an author specified them and pointed to them specifically so that people could be like, ah, there it is. I see. You explained it well. It's a thing that I knew, but now I see you're written it out clearly and it makes sense and it's a lot easier to talk about now.
Yeah. Man, all the things that I never really think about. Sam, is any of this striking a chord with you? Do you have any thoughts on any of the stuff that Zenith and I are kind of going back and forth with here?
I'm glad Zenith went first. I'll just say that because he had an answer that was ready, and he backed it up with all of this amazing wisdom and theory.
It's not
And
my
I was
wisdom,
going to
it's
give a
other people's.
speculative
I'm
answer.
stealing it.
Yeah, I don't have much to contribute there. It's very theological and heady, and I'm not keeping up.
You deal much more in the practical world. That's fine. In the practical world, like, I suppose it's sort of it's very similar to the way that like people interact with each other. You know, it's like we don't just go around like slicing people's ears off when they do something that we don't like. We just kind of like leave them alone. That'd be an example of like natural law. Is just like, oh, well, I don't like you, so I'm not going to attack you and take your goodies, but I am going to leave. And if you come and try and attack me and take my goodies, then I'm gonna pop you one in the face, or maybe have to kill you or something like that. That's like that would be a more practical application. But
If
yeah,
you really want to boil it down, like Moondog is trying to tell me to here, he's saying he's making it too high IQ. Basically, if you want something that's easy to point to the natural rights, which is life, liberty, property. You have the right to exist. No one can really take that away from you. Liberty, you have the ability to do what you want. Can't really be under subservience to anyone else without specific power that they are enacting on you, in which case you would be justified in trying to enact power back on them to try to get out of it. And then also, if someone's trying to deprive you of life, like, that's where self-defense comes from. And then lastly, property is where you get property ownership and the actual ability to build anything, because without it, you're just in a state of barbarism and just constant theft.
Yeah, where everyone's stealing everything all the time. We can't be having that. Property laws and what was the other one? The non-aggression principle are like the two main things that like a lot of the libertarian ideology is founded on.
Correct.
I like that. In his chat that he put up, that the thermodynamic laws of firearms supersede courtroom law while on the roadside. Meaning, if you shoot someone, it doesn't matter if it's illegal or not because you've shot them and they're dying. So it's like the courtroom law is less relevant to the person with the gaping hole in their chest because of the natural law that is, this bullet will travel forward when propelled by compressed expanding gases. So that's amusing.
It's very easy to, or I'm not going to say it's easy, but you can absolutely just kind of do like the ideological and theological and theoretical talks all day. But one of the ways where you really have to get outside of this kind of conversation when it comes to practicality is using a different book we covered, which is probably 48 Laws of Power or The Prince, which is like, you can have the theoretical arguments, but you exist in the real world, and there are ways to effectuate power and yourself inside of those places. You can have arguments all day, but at the same time, that law of thermodynamics for the firearm, it cares about what's going on now. It doesn't care about the theoretical arguments.
Violentia totum solvit. It doesn't matter what your argument is. If I can rip your arms off, violence solves everything.
It's not violence solves everything. It's that violence is always possible.
Violence is always possible, and violence will solve everything if you just use it for all of the stuff. And it's a very temporary solution. There's one of the ideas and one of the thoughts that I was toying around with while I was reading this is like, one of the speakers, I believe he was the British gentleman, was talking about the idea of like, look guys, like I think that the country needs to be changed and I'm going to fight for it, but the way that I'm going to fight for it is I'm not going to sit here and like go out on the street and throw punches at people that disagree with me. It's like I'm going to fight for it by engaging in education and persuasive argument. And that spurred a thought in me. And I don't know if any of you guys thought the same thing, of like the best way I was thinking about to fight someone is like by changing their mind or by persuading them or by educating. You know, it's like presenting more information or making the information that already exists more palatable and intangible. Because like, you know, if I fight someone and I kill them, then there's like, or like I maim them or something, then there's like a permanent like scar tissue that is the result of that sort of violence that happens. Whereas like if you have a conversation with someone, or if you educate them, or if you are able to persuade them, you know, if you're able to like to do like verbal jousting instead of like, and not even verbal jousting, but like, you know, you've got the whole like honey or the stick sort of argument, right? Where it's like I can beat you over the head in debate, kind of like what is that Jewish guy talks really fast and owns like not Turning Point, Ben Shapiro. Yeah, like the Ben Shapiro style of debate where you just basically like obliterate someone with speed and facts and information and whatnot, but they don't feel better as a result of it. Or there's the like the Tony Robbins version of debate where it's just like, I'm going to talk to you and you're going to love me, and I'm going to give you information you don't want, but you're gonna love to hear it, and you're gonna feel better as a result of it. Like you can engage in the verbal jousting, and you can engage in like, what's that?
You're asking a very broad question.
Well, I'm not. I was more of like I
hear you, but
this isn't a question right now. It was more of just a thought. But go ahead, Zenith. What's your thought?
The question that arises from your thought is, I think you got to start out with, what are your objectives? Why are you fighting this person? Are you physically fighting, or are you doing what the video talks about? Because the video pretty much goes through an hour of, or probably like 45 minutes or 55 minutes of issues and reasoning. And then the last 5 minutes is everyone at the end of it being like, our solution is we're going to educate. We are going to play the long game. We're going to try to re-educate the populace so that they're more aware of these things, so they don't fall into the traps that we believe they are currently falling into. That's definitely one way to do it. Versus if you look back at the high, it wasn't hijacking Bitcoin. It was the one where the guy talked about gold as can be
pirate money.
Pirate money, yeah. The end of that one is an actual the way to fix it or fight the current issue is to actually effectuate change and propose specific legislation and changes and options. There's a lot of different ways to kind of solve the problem here.
So I wasn't really gunning for a question, but yeah, that's a great point, and I'm glad that you like brought that to mind, because I was gonna try and gun it towards a question at some point, but like the idea of fighting like with your hands, you want to do that when there's like the robber that's pointing the gun at you, and like there is no, like, you can't sweet talk the robber into not shooting you. That's when it's time to like crack out the stick and kill him. Or just like, if you're Han Solo, you shoot him fucking first, because that's the way she goes, boys, when you're a scallywag or something. But like there's a time for violence, and there's a time for everything that's other than violence, and most of the time it's time for the everything that's other than violence if you want to like create good relations and create good like long-lasting effects and things. And violence is the short-term solution, and then like education and persuasion is the more long-term solution, because like you can't sustain violence like your entire life. I mean, I guess you could, if you're a super violent person, but like at some point we get older, at some point people get sick of getting beat up or something like that. Enough is enough, and whatnot. But like I think that like if a person wants to affect change, if a person wants to do something, then like most of the time everything being on a bell curve distribution, like most of the time the answer is going to lie within like persuasion and education, or taking some sort of action in that kind of sort of realm rather than like fighting and things. And so this is what that's what that part of the video got me thinking about, and it was an interesting notion. And yeah, like I do agree that the education, and perhaps I'm just kind of like circle jerking my own opinion here, because I enjoy education and I enjoy persuasion more than I enjoy physical fighting. So maybe it's just I'm choosing to do the thing that I already enjoy. But that was a thought that I had. I don't know. Did you have any similar thoughts, Sam or Zenith? Zenith, you kind of gave your opinion there, but Sam, do you ever think about cracking someone over the head, or giving someone an education, or trying to persuade them something instead?
I would, yes, actually, I try to persuade people all the time, and I just choose to do it with my words and their desires.
Yeah.
I find out what their desires are, and I try to solve that problem to get them to do what I want.
And this is you're referring to like the business world, I'm guessing, and stuff, because you basically operate sales. You do a lot of like reaching out to like B2B customer sort of stuff, right? Is that what you're
I
referring
would
to? Or
say
you just
that
talk about
applies
all
to
of life?
everything. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, every relationship I have with every person is built on solving problems for them. So
That's true. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good point. I don't often find myself having to crack the whip or pull the gun or something like that. So, inshallah, it shall never be the case, but you never know. I suppose you never know. Man, my phone is dying despite me having it plugged in. We've got 16% left on the battery. If my phone camera chops off, then I suppose I'll turn my computer camera on and we'll finish out the stream. But just so you guys know, that might be a production issue coming here soon. We also got the Wookiee philosophy from Mr. Moonfield Rational Optics. We'll just rip their arms off. That's one way to do it. Violence doesn't solve world peace. You're right. It does not solve world peace, but violence can bring about world peace if you speak softly and carry a big stick. So there you go. Or maybe the idea of violence. So that is fantastic. Something about Shogun Total from Mr. Moondog. He remembers playing it as an 8-year-old boy and seeing a mechanic that let me convert versus kill enemy units. Saw that each successful action for conversion put me ahead twice as fast. Yeah, that's interesting. You can build your army a whole lot better if you don't kill the people that could potentially be fighting in your army. So some food for thought, I suppose. Some food for thought. And I remember back when I used to listen to Tim Pool all the time, he would constantly talk about Civilization, I think was the name of the video game. And you could either win via conquest, you could win via like culture, or you could win via economics. And like one of the best ways to win the game, one of the fastest ways, to just have like the like like you get them all on your side culturally, kind of like China does a better job of winning our hearts, or it's like the United States in Afghanistan, winning the hearts and minds instead of killing everybody over there. So some thoughts from the peanut gallery. Taking it back to the book that we're covering, though. One of the points that Vattel tries to make is that under natural law, nations are equal, sort of, kind of. And the question that I have for you guys is, are nations in the world equal? And is there nuance to it? Is there like power dynamics? Are they equal in principle but not in practicality? Are they do you guys have thoughts on the equality that exists, or that ought to exist under natural law between nations?
No.
You want to go first?
No, they're not equal.
Nations are not equal. Can
No.
you elaborate?
America is the best nation.
America is the best nation. I do
USA
agree with
number
that.
one.
I was
Number one,
actually
baby.
talking about this recently. I really do think no, and that's okay, because like equality is not necessarily the end goal. Like what you'd want, right? This is like you'd want equality of opportunity for all of the nations to be great nations.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you want equality of outcome for all of them to be great nations, because the reality is that our country has, we're bordered to Canadians who are nice and Mexicans who maybe don't have a lot of money or they're not organized or whatever. They're not attacking us. And so we've got water on both sides. We have amazing rivers that allow us to logistically transport and use and extract a lot of the resources of this land to make and innovate. And then you have a society of people built on the idea that if your shit's not good enough, I'm going to go do my own thing and make it better. And everybody's running around making it better. And I want to live in a nation where everybody's running around making shit better. That's where I want to live. So that's my take.
I like it. It's a very good take as well. The U.S. has historically been in a very strong spot, just geographically, both from defense and resources. And that is definitely not a point to understate. This is some very fantastic land. And if we reference last week's book, where we were talking about Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is that your starting resources are going to determine a lot of how humans spread out over the world. And honestly, it probably would have taken a good bit of time, as the book referenced, before we could actually, populate the United States. But once we were able to, oh boy, it was massively beneficial. Will, to answer your question, are the nations equal? The nuanced answer is yes, in the sense that they are nations. But practically speaking, on all the other metrics, no, they're not equal. If we go back to natural law, you can just say even from a moral standpoint and how they operate, no, they're not equal in terms of morality from that standpoint. And then also very obviously to Sam's point, which is in the ability of what you can do and what your outcomes are going to be, they're absolutely not equal. I think the point that the author is getting at is that when it comes to nations dealing with each other, is that once you have a founded and secured nation, you are pretty much on equal footing when it comes to international diplomacy to the other nations around you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be conquered or that other people are going to outproduce you like crazy. It just means that you now pretty much have access to the power game at the highest level, which is international relations.
So with that being the case, Zenith, and Sam, you can answer this too. At what point then is it justified for one nation to interject in the happenings of other nations?
You've cracked
isn't
open a new can of worms.
Isn't that the fucking ticket, right?
Well, this is where you get into the idea of diplomacy, trade, and just war theory.
Mm-hmm.
Just war theory is something that came out that was developed in the last 100 years effectively, but it's pretty much saying that any sort of military action is always for defense. But what is that defense can be it's not nebulous, but it can definitely be
preventative forward. What is that movie with not Christian Bale, where they have the kid that sees into the future, and so they do preventative crime maintenance or whatever?
Oh, is that
you know what I'm talking about?
Is that Minority Report?
Minority Report, that's the one. Yeah. Yes, it's we're defending ourselves from your future actions that you might take by going over there and cutting your fingers off before you can build the gun to pull the trigger.
All right, to give you a very modern or recent example, why did the U.S. strike Iran? Okay, the answer was defense.
No, man.
The reason defense works in this situation, from the logic standpoint, is that Iran was very openly saying that we want to attack other nations with a nuclear weapon. The United States, in response, said, okay, because of that, we're going to take preemptive measures to ensure that you cannot do that. The point was not to launch all-out war and conquer Iran. The point was to use the defensive strategy or the defensive reasoning to eliminate the threat. The threat was the thermonuclear weapon. If you eliminate that, but you don't try to destroy everything unnecessarily, you're still within the chain of reasoning there. It's very easy to be like, okay, my neighbor is attacking, the neighboring country is attacking me, therefore we shall wage war, and to the victor go some spoils, obviously. But at the same time, once you start digging into the other principles that the author's talking about here, which is life, liberty, and property, if they are threatening these things, then that is a reasonable, justifiable argument for war of necessity through defense. It's kind of like the analogy of if you're in the wild, you depend on this one river to get your water. There's nothing else available around you. You pretty much need this river to survive. Cool. Someone starts living 5 miles upstream of you and they start polluting your water resource. You have tried talking to them. You have tried negotiating. They are refusing everything. Cool. They are now starting to deprive you of a resource for life, in which case, action is actually justified under this train of thinking.
What are your thoughts, Sam? When do people get to interject into the affairs of others, like when it comes to nations and things? At what point does it become well, either just or rational or whatever? What are your thoughts?
I mean, anytime a country like Iran or Iraq tries to take our oil that's in their ground away from us, I think that's a
That's
big
right,
no-no,
baby.
and they need a slap on the hand.
Yes, we're gonna come and get them. We're gonna get you. That's our oil.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
promised to be 3,000 years ago.
Last night over on Walk the Block, Dace had the quote of the night. He was referencing the people mining Bitcoin in Venezuela. He's like, yeah, they were doing a lot of Bitcoin mining in Venezuela before we visited them with our freedom.
Yep. Oh man, I was just on the phone with him shortly before, coming and doing this, and he was recommending that I give it a listen. So that is something that is highly on my to-do list. I saw that all three of you were on Walk the Block last night, so that's pretty cool. It's cool to see three people on stream during these troubling bear market times. So I want to again thank you guys for joining me here with this tonight. But yeah, I'll go ahead and say that my sentiment more or less kind of reflects your guys's, both in that one, might makes right, and if you can, then sort of kind of do it, and then also like you should kind of not be a dick about it and like defend the things that are your lifeline. If someone's shitting in your water stream, you got to kill them so that way they don't poison you or your children and things. It's like there's a strange line between like what is morally justifiable and what do you have the power to do. Like I can't remember what the quote is, but it's something along the lines of like the powerful do what they want and then the poor tolerate what they must, or something along those lines. And it's like, yeah, if you're a nation that's more powerful than the other ones, then like you get to walk around and swing your dick around and hit some people. Like, is it the correct thing to do? Not necessarily. Are there consequences? Maybe. But it's like, look, there's like the morality and then the justifiable stuff, and then there's the stuff that is outside of that realm. So that just falls into the line of like, oh, well, I can, so I will. Hooray! Let's fucking do it. Let's go ahead and double blockade this blockade that already exists here. I don't fucking know. I have no idea what I'm talking about, guys. So don't listen to me. But I thought that was an interesting little twist. Is like, where do people get to jump in? Like, can I, if I'm a country and I see another country committing human rights violations, can I hop in? If I see another country like going through economic collapse, like, can I interject freedom and democracy? Like, at what point?
I think
does all
those
this?
two questions actually fall slightly outside of the one that you asked previously.
Oh, sure, for sure.
These are some of the questions that the nations have been asking over the last like 200 years, effectively. Which is that when is it justifiable to step in? But honestly, it is outside of the realm of what we talked about previously, which is like it's very much a defensive based thing. But that's more of getting into, I'm doing this because it's a just thing to do, and those people are committing an injustice inside of their nation. Therefore, I'm going to intervene. It is a separate question. And this is where, in my opinion, a lot of nations have gotten in trouble in the last like 200 years. So it's a level above that, which is like, theoretically, if you believe in the moral code, you are doing what theoretically is a good thing, but that also is based on the assumption that your moral code is correct. And if other people have a different moral code from you, well, they're going to heavily disagree with you, and in which case you look like an aggressor.
Sam and I have recently watched a very fascinating and philosophical movie called Team America: World Police. I don't know, perhaps you've heard of it, Zenith, but it covers this movie. Yes. It covers this very idea extremely well. Is in addition to having the world's longest marionette puppet sex scene, and also the world's longest marionette puppet puking scene. So they and marionette puppet fight scene. So they were breaking the world records in many realms. But yeah, the whole premise of the movie is like, oh, these damn terrorists everywhere are doing terrorism, and it's our job to go and stop them as Team America. For folks at home, if you guys have not seen Team America: World Police, then you're missing out on a very important piece of U.S. history and U.S. culture. So I would heavily encourage you guys to go and check that out. But yeah, it's like if another country is doing war crimes, like, can we step in and stop them? Should we? Are we going to anyways? Are we going to collect the oil while we're over there? Like, maybe we'll see. How dare they mine those bitcoins until before we go and give them freedoms? So
I know you might not have realized this, but the question that you're asking here fundamentally bridges the gap between like the law of nations stuff versus the Team America stuff, which is
Yeah.
when is it justifiable to do this kind of stuff versus what is the sovereignty of nations? This is where you start to see stuff like people proposing things like the United Nations, the Hague International Criminal Court. It's like these are theoretically good ideas, but they fundamentally step beyond like the law of nations and natural law, which is that theoretically, if all the nations are sovereign and no one is above the other, then you can't enforce laws in other countries. But if you join together, theoretically, you're kind of creating like a super nation, in which case that super nation is still on level with all the ones that have not joined it. But conversely, at the same time, almost as a paradox, all the ones inside of that super nation are still nations and still have the same rights as everything else. And that's where you see these really weird breakdowns and stuff. And it's kind of why, from the theoretical perspective, the United Nations sounds like a great idea until you realize that we live in a very imperfect world and that the nations are created very unequally in the sense of what they have, how they operate, and what they can effectuate in the world. So you get in these weird situations where you have, like, I don't know, China on the World Defense Council or something, and it's like, you guys are doing some really shady stuff over there, yet you're on the panel for like, no one can attack. No one can attack. We're going to keep doing our thing. No, can't say nothing. It's like, okay. That if we're at this stalemate, then why does the body exist in itself? And it's like, what are we doing here?
It is an interesting prospect, especially since like the nations that are not that like aren't like a part of the United Nations, it would still be like considered equal under the whole concept that Vattel puts forward. But like, I don't know if there was a United Nations or anything, because the League of Nations came after World War One, and I don't think there was anything quite comparable to that before, back in the 1750s. So like, I wonder how much of like what, like if he was given the same like knowledge and all of the relevant information that he would need to produce the same sort of document today, like what are the sort of kind of like changes or improvements he would like if he was a live streamer and he just kept live streaming and putting his ideas out as time moves forward, like what would be the differences, what would he be saying nowadays, and like how would the new systems be integrated into his ideas? It's kind of like, everybody be like, oh, the founding fathers didn't build the country this way, and it's like, okay, well, they did what they did. Speaking of, I wanted to ask you guys about like democracy versus republic and stuff, because that was one of the things that they covered at length inside of the video. Did it spur any thoughts when they were talking about like what is a democracy versus what is a republic, and like what do we live in now? Sam, I remember you and I were speaking on the phone a little bit about this earlier. Do you have any thoughts on the like what is a democracy versus a republic versus democratic republic, and all that stuff that they were talking about?
I would have to first fully understand how exactly the republic is brought into power, who decides what the authority is. Maybe Zenith knows. You might have a dictionary right there and he's got the answer already. Seems like something you might do. But
roasted, you fucking nerd. Jesus, Sam.
I accept it. That's the label I have on here. You introduced me today as the legal and government analyst. These are the fundamental questions you are asking tonight.
That is true. Okay, so quick synopsis for the folks at home. A republic is basically like you have a representative that represents you, and then a democracy is like, people kind of vote for things. So like the majority rules sort of thing, mob rule and all that. And it looks like Mama Dog is tangled yet again. Let's see if she can untangle herself. What a fucking...
Is it like thinking about the presidential election as like popular vote versus electoral votes?
Well, both of those would be like democratic in nature. I don't really understand. Zenith, how does a republic work without the democratic element?
it is a republic fundamentally is just a body of people representing different areas or groups of people that have a singular representative that is sent to them, and then all of the representatives have pretty much equal sway.
Okay.
So it's not saying that everyone. It's not saying that. So, like for the United States, this is probably the best example I can give. If the United States was a democracy, it would mean that every single person's vote would have the same balance, and there would be no like lines drawn in between. So theoretically, the more populous states would have way more say over what happens to the entirety of the nation. The United States is a republic because we are not one singular nation. We're a nation of states. The states have their own ability to self-govern to a degree that is somewhat, well, I'm describing how it is now as the founders laid it out. But the federal government is the thing that ties it all together. The states can still pass their own laws, their own taxes, and that kind of stuff. And as a result, the states have pretty much equal representation, or proportional representation is how we have it now through the Electoral College, which is that they have a certain amount of sway, and that there's a minimum threshold that you have, and it cannot be reduced by other people having more. So because of that, you have the republic, which is that the republic, each group, the states in this case, sends an individual to be the representation in a larger body politic that decides how to act. So you can the main difference is that democracy kind of just groups everyone into one basket versus republic is a bunch of different baskets that are working together.
Okay.
But still retain their own individuality to a degree when it comes to the baskets.
Yeah. Okay. So like, and I know that we have like the House of Representatives, and we also have the Senate, which, man, I'm coming to realize that I really just don't know a whole lot about how the government works.
You know this. How many people in the Senate does each state get?
Well, every state gets 2 people because every state has, like, the idea,
Correct.
the original idea of the Senate is to make sure that the federal government is not passing laws that like screw over the state, something like that, right? Like that the House of Representatives doesn't create a law. Like, so Wyoming has 500,000 people in it. California has like 7 or 8 million, something like that. So like if California says like, oh, we get all of the tax money for everywhere because we've got just so many people, and Wyoming doesn't get any. The senators from Wyoming are like, nice try, motherfucker. You can't just take our goodies and resources because we're a state too. We're a state just as much as California is. Like, you might have more people, but we still have like rights and things. So
correct. This level of protection that you're talking about is the main difference between a democracy and a republic in function and practice. In a democracy, as long as you have the majority of the votes, the rest of the people that were the naysayers, they kind of just get overruled. Versus in this style of, in this style of republic, though, it grants protections to smaller parties by not allowing just the sheer volume of the amount of people you have to overrule the existence of the other entities. In which case, this is why you get, which honestly is a very beautiful and well thought out way to set it up, of the legislature, which is you have the House of Representatives, which does represent the populace because they're apportioned based on population. But at the same time, the thing that keeps them in check is the Senate, where all the states have equal representation. Because you have to get both of them to agree, it makes sure that you can't just get states that gang up and try to make the bigger ones do what they want just because they got enough of the little ones, because at the same time, larger states with a larger populace still have that representation of the larger populace, but you do have the protections of the individual states themselves through equal representation.
Man, I wish there was like a way that we could nuggetize that, but it makes sense. It's basically just like people aren't stepping on each other's toes, like from a couple of different
in practice, what you get here is that, honestly, the United States system is set up for gridlock. It's able to move very fast if you have overwhelming agreement, because in that case, you'll you'll get the majority of the population, and you'll get the majority of the states themselves. But if you don't have both of those things, you're going to kind of end up in the middle of nowhere where you really stall things and things don't happen unless you get the agreement of both the individual entities, being the states, and all the people inside of them.
Yes. So like set up for gridlock so that way they don't like ruin too many things. And the only way that stuff gets passed is if everyone's basically on the same page and things like that. That makes sense. The great compromise, Mr. Moon-Pilled Rational Optics says. So
Correct.
That's a good way to put it. Oh man, honestly, we were propagandized to the idea of democracy in grade school to make us feel good and less likely to rebel. Any cheerleader alone with the football team sees its weaknesses immediately. Oh yeah. That's a wow, what an analogy to make. I can't believe I just read that.
That's an analogy right there.
Well,
okay. We're gonna bring it back here
from the Degen Roundtable.
Yes, we are a bunch of degenerates. One of the things that they talked about in the God fucking damn it, dog. One of the things that they talk about in the book is that the United States is the oldest form of government in the world that is still operating. Do you guys agree? Like, because the U.S. has been around as it stands longer than any of the other ones. What do you think of that? Is that an oversimplification? What are your thoughts?
It is technically correct, but it's also a bit of self-flattery. It's similar to when the Coast Guard likes to proclaim that it is the oldest continuing seagoing service, despite the Navy having an establishment date before it, because technically there was a tiny period where it was disbanded before it was rejoined. And because of that, it's like, no, we never disbanded. Therefore, we have the record for the longest, even though your founding date's older than ours. As far as the modern governments that exist today, yes, it is the oldest one that exists today on paper. But at the same time, you can look at the nations, you can look at the history of the nations and how they've worked, and there are ones that are way older than us. For instance, the one that we broke away from, Great Britain. Guess what?
Yeah.
It still exists today. It technically has changed form. Therefore, it's a different government. But this is more kind of just like puffing out the chest, being like, yeah, we have the record. And it's like, yes, you have the record for a very niche, very argued specific thing.
That's a good point. I know that Moondog in the comments was talking about India being a corporation and a company longer than being a country. So that's what that reminded me of. Sam, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the biggest jar of toenail clippings, does that make you cool?
No, but it does mean you have the biggest jar of toenail clippings.
Mm-hmm.
Vanity metrics.
Correct.
Vanity metrics. I suppose so. That's good. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm sort of kind of running out of questions here, so I think I'm going to ask this one, and then also the dog is just being a total little stinker slinker. She keeps jumping off of the balcony and doing all sorts of craziness. So it's about time for me to wrap this up, ladies and germs. But the last thing that I wanted to touch on was George Washington's farewell address is something that was highlighted in the video. Is this something that you guys have seen? Is this something that because it's something that like they mentioned a couple times, and I don't think I've ever listened to the whole thing as like a complete whatever, but it used to be required reading in school. It used to be like part of the thing that the young kids would have to know and understand before they're able to like graduate middle school and whatnot. But the general idea is that it warns against cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men consolidating government power. Is this something that either of you have ever read? Sam, have you ever read George Washington's farewell address, or Zenith? Have you?
Read it a while ago, but I did pull up the main points if you want me to go through them.
I want to hear if Sam has ever
in
done it.
school. I'm maybe at some point, but I think they treated Abe Lincoln a little more important than George Washington in my memory.
Yeah, that's what I remember as well. As Abraham Lincoln was the guy because he freed the slaves or something like. It's like a bunch of like
Abraham Lincoln was also
history.
the one that suspended habeas corpus.
Yeah, so bunch of silliness. But anyway, Zenith, run us through the points real quick.
Sure thing. So
folks at home,
he talks about national unity above all. He says that The Union is the source of security, economic stability, and political strength. Regional divisions are structural threats to this. National unity above all. Number 2, warning against political parties, saying that they prioritize power over the public good, create artificial divisions, and enable demagogues. Over time, they risk evolving into tyranny or mob rule. Number 3 is constitutional order and the rule of law. The Constitution is the legitimate framework for authority, and changes should occur through formal amendment, not circumvention. That one, he was way ahead of his time on that one. Number 4, another one he was way ahead of. Fiscal discipline and public credit. National credit is a strategic asset. Debt may be necessary, especially in war, but it must be controlled and should be repaid in peacetime. By the way, the United States had a fantastic track record of paying back debts up until World War II.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Hey, was there something that happened shortly before World War I and II and a whole bunch of people made a bunch of money? I don't know what we're talking about here.
Something Federal Reserve. Yeah. Anyways, we got a few more to get through. Number 5, foreign policy, strategic neutrality. He said, avoid permanent alliances, maintain commercial relations with all. Staying independent of foreign conflicts is absolutely necessary if you want to be truly independent in the long term. Number 6 was religion, morality, and civic virtue, argues that Republican government depends on moral citizens. This is why the famous quote is that our government was designed for a moral and just people, and if men were angels, they would not need government, and if they were all devils, no government would ever work.
Yep.
7, education and informed citizenship. Public opinion drives the republic. Therefore, you got to be educated, and the information must be widely available. Without that, guess what's driving the republic? Bad public opinion.
Bam.
The thing that's really good about this is that it all works together very well. And ironically, civic virtue is the last one, but it's the most important. Pretty much saying unity will prevent us from internal fracture. Lawful government will prevent the institutions from decaying. Neutral foreign policy ensures that we will always be independent. Fiscal discipline ensures that we will endure. And lastly, civic virtue will substantiate all of the above. It will be the bedrock for everything else that works together. So this is one of the speeches that people point back to because, again, Washington was there when the nation was founded. In fact, they asked him to pretty much be a king. He was one of the few men in history that turned this down. That's why he kind of goes, what, in my personal opinion, head and shoulders above the rest of any American historical figures, because this puts him uniquely in a basket with some of like the Roman emperors of old and what the Medici family tried to argue they were doing as well, while secretly still controlling power from the background, which is that they were given the ability to keep ultimate power for as long as they wanted, and they actually turned it down for a better structure. What you going for, sir? I can try to help you out.
He's probably got to re-Bluetooth his sound.
Yeah, probably. But he now has his computer up instead of his phone, which is now permanently sideways. Or dead. I think he just dropped on the phone.
The good news is it looks like he's still live streaming.
Yes. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Oh, sure can.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Fucking hell. Yeah, the phone died at the most opportune moment. I missed what you were saying, Z. Can you just carry on as if I've been here the whole time, or are you finished?
That was the end of it, but I guess one of the big points is that George Washington's farewell address has aged so well because the nation has kind of fallen into all the traps that he said not to fall into.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who would have thought, ladies and germs, if only we had kept teaching the kids in school and kept requiring them to do this, then everything would have been fixed. I know that I'm going to definitely be reading it and consuming it a bit more myself. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, gentlemen, for final thoughts over this concept of the laws of nations and of the little 1 hour stream, and anything in particular. Is there anything that we have not covered for this book club that you guys wanted to talk about before we move ahead to a close?
Moon-Pilled Rational Optics actually coming in here with possibly the quote of the movie that we looked at. This is what one of the citizens asked Benjamin Franklin as they were constructing the founding documents. They asked, what kind of a government did you give us? And he said, we gave you a republic if you can keep it.
Yep, that's a good one.
Again, fits very well into Washington's farewell address. So I'm already going, so I might as well keep going. Overall thoughts, I got to read it myself. As far as doing the research on it and the ideas behind it, it is very much in line, which is honestly why I was kind of surprised at the end of this, because like this seems very much more like a Zenith book than a Will book, but it does factor into your idea of, I want to build a nation. How do we do that? Well, by the way, I did actually prepare something for you, by the way.
Oh.
There are a series of micronations that have tried to form in the past, and I just wanted to give you a quick synopsis of them. So, number one, that's going to be the story of North Dumpling Island.
North Dumpling Island.
Yes. It is a 2-acre island in Fisher's Island Sound off the coast of Connecticut, and their story is kind of petty, but it apparently is one of the few micronations that has actually worked. Pretty much, 1986, a man named Cayman, an inventor, bought the island off the coast, and he wanted to install wind turbines. Well, local authorities denied his permission. His response, he seceded from the United States symbolically, but not legally, and then declared his island, the micronation, the Kingdom of North Dumpling. The kingdom he created had a flag, a currency, which is the dumpling, a national anthem, which is a parody of America the Beautiful, and its own navy, which is one amphibious vehicle. Even joked about having an informal non-aggression pact with George Bush at the first Bush at the time. The key outcomes here. Well, despite the denial, he built the wind turbine anyways, and the island now actually runs on wind panels, wind power, solar panels, and LEDs. And the guy claims that it is entirely off the grid and carbon neutral. The reason this one is actually significant is because this is one of the few cases where the nation has endured. It is the case of individual versus regulatory authority, and in which case the government kind of just like said, screw it. It's one guy on an island. We'll just let him do his thing. So that's why that one worked. Okay.
Until he storms the shores with his 100 offspring.
It is one amphibious vehicle. They're going to split that amphibious vehicle into a bunch of smaller ones, and each of his 100 offspring will get one fraction of an amphibious assault vehicle.
It's interesting you say that, though, because in the inverse case, the next one, the Republic of Rose Island, had kind of that outcome. Built in 1968 by Giorgio Rosa, he constructed a platform 11 kilometers offshore to bypass Italian law. Declared independence with his own currency, a post office, and a government. Italy responded by blockading it and then eventually blowing it up with explosives.
What the fuck? They blew it up.
Yeah. So the nation no longer physically existed. So therefore, is it even a nation?
Oh, man, that's funny.
Okay.
Sucks to be Rose Island.
And let's go to one of the other very few cases that actually worked out. The Principality of Sealand. Okay, what's this one? Well, it was founded in 1967 by Paddy Roy Bates. He occupied a World War II sea fort outside the UK waters and declared sovereignty. In fact, he even started issuing passports, currency, and had its own royal family. This is one of the few that has actually survived, but the key here, it has survived without recognition. And also, similar to the case of the Kingdom of North Dumpling, this one exists because nobody cared enough to do anything about it.
Hell yeah.
There are a few more, in which case, the Republic of Minerva. It was a libertarian project where they built an island by dumping sand on a reef. They declared independence, and then Tonga immediately invaded it and annexed it.
Tonga?
Yep. That is a country off of the coast of Africa, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yep. There you go. So these are the micronations. The reason that we're talking about them is, well, you've been talking about building a nation. And it goes back to the law of nations, which is what are the core principles that the guy really talks about? Well, it comes back to having a political society, having sovereignty, having territory, and self-preservation. All of these did pretty good with the first three. It's just that last fourth one, the self-preservation, that is the big question here. So it's like the idea of starting your own nation. Is it a grand and noble idea? Yes, but it is a lofty goal. The reason why the United States worked out is because it was a large area with a large population that all shared a similar idea that they worked together. which is that when we founded the United States, everyone still thought of themselves as British citizens. They were just very pissed off that they felt like they weren't being treated like British citizens. So they said, you know what? If we're not with you, I guess we're just with ourselves, in which case we're now Americans.
Yeah. Hey, what's in a name? The Degen Roundtable Nation that I want to make is more of like an idea than a physical like location or something like that, which is like probably going to be I don't know if it's going to be a difficult thing, but like I know that there's nations within the United States, like all of the Native Americans, they are their own like micronation or something like that, and they issue their own passports, they have their own police force, they do their own thing. So it's like an interesting notion that I want to explore. But yeah, it has been a fascinating subject of thought of mine for the recent past.
I mean, this is where you can play the clip from Thor Ragnarok where the guy has the revelation at the end that Asgard is a people, not a place.
Yeah.
So it's like we can be Hexicans at heart. We can be Degens at heart. We just might not geographically have a place that is its own nation that can defend itself and provide for itself.
Yep. Hexicos on the blockchain, baby. Sam, have you had any thoughts about the stuff that we've covered tonight? Anything we didn't cover that, or something you thought was funny or amusing or,
yes.
or retarded?
I was wondering how realistic it would be. I was wondering if I could avoid taxes by going and like buying one of the islands of Hawaii, seceding myself, and then creating my own nation, and then paying taxes to myself, thus not paying taxes. You know, just wondering how feasible that was.
Well, one of the best ways,
saw from the examples, it is a dice roll.
One of the best ways to avoid paying taxes is to understand the tax code. And I've heard that from Robert Kiyosaki. I've heard that from Brandon Joe Williams. I've heard that from like basically every wealthy person ever, is to just understand the tax code. So I don't think there is an easy out of like, oh, I'll just secede from the United States. Like, no, I got to go read this document of these people that like basically wrote down instructions on how they're going to rape you and what the circumstances are of the rape and like where it's going to happen and why and what type of people they're looking for and yada yada yada. And you just got to filter it out from there, something like that. So
I will say one of my favorite Robert Kiyosaki clips is where he argues that you have a moral obligation to pay the least amount in taxes possible because you owe it to yourself and your family.
Yep, that's the most American thing. That's one of the things I like about Robert Kiyosaki is like, yeah, you owe it to yourself and to your loved ones to give none of that money to a bunch of, he doesn't say this, but I'll say it, a bunch of elite pedophiles who are gonna, go and attack people and do horrible things. So, excellent. So Sam's gonna go buy Oahu and start his own nation. Is that what I'm getting from you, Sam?
That's correct.
Excellent.
And I'll rename it too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What are you gonna name it?
I'll probably call it Oahu.
Oahu.
With like a W. You're just gonna throw a W in there, really Americanize it. Put some of the King's English on it, if you will.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys. Final thoughts on the actual book itself. I don't think that I'm not going to read the book yet, but Law of Nations
audio
probably
sucks. There's no audio.
Yeah, there is no audio book. So, like, I mean, it can't be that hard to make because the PDF of the book exists. I put the PDF in the Telegram, so like, if anybody wants to put it in a AI thing that just reads, then it's like, hey, there you go. Now we have an audiobook. And if you want to share that with the rest of us, that'd be awesome. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I'm not promising anything. But as far as like the actual book consumption goes, I don't know if I'm going to read it quite yet. It's something that like, it's fascinating to me, but I don't think it's very like crazy actionable in terms of like, if I do a bunch of push-ups, then I get really strong and I get fucking yoked. If I go and work and climb a bunch of towers, then I make a lot of money. Like, I don't think that this Law of Nations thing is going to like have a high leverage effect. So I need to climb my way up Maslow's hierarchy of needs before like I'm crazy cool and awesome enough to not crazy cool and awesome enough because I'm already crazy cool and awesome. But I think that like there's other things that need to be solved first before I go about reading this. But the idea fascinates me, so that's where I will put it. Mr. Zenith, have you thought of a book for next book club? Good sir.
I have a list, but I have not decided yet. So nothing.
I have a suggestion.
What is your suggestion?
The Constitution.
Didn't you already cover that?
No, I covered the Declaration of Independence. I've not done the Constitution or the Bill of Rights.
Oh, those are
The
two different things.
Constitution's pretty long, isn't it?
Fun fact: one is included in the other.
Oh, the Bill of Rights is inside the Constitution?
Yes, it is the
Okay.
last part of the Constitution.
Well, there you go. That would be my suggestion. If you're not going to do that, then that's what I'm going to do for my next book club. But that's something that I've been thinking about recently, because as I was going through this video, they kept referencing it and they kept talking about like articles and bills. I'm like, man, I never actually read that thing. And like,
As someone that has read the Constitution before many times, it is not what you think it is. It's a lot of procedural stuff. If you want the ideological, that is really framed in the Declaration. It's why they say that the Declaration of Independence is the golden idea, that the Constitution is the silver frame around.
okay. I wonder how long the Constitution is. Well, anyways, that was my suggestion. You don't have to take it, broski. Not at all.
I will take it under advisement.
What's that?
I will take it under advisement.
Okay, excellent. Well, whenever you do come up with a book that you want to do for the next book club, let the folks at home know, and I'll put it up in the Telegram. The sooner that we know it, the sooner we can start reading it and cover it and things. But that's my thoughts and things. I'm not going to rate this book on a scale of 0 to 10,000 hours, because I don't think that we covered the book like crazy well. I think that I bit off more than I can chew, and we just kind of went with it as a sort of kind of half-assed solution with watching the video. But I will say it fascinates me, and it's something that I want to look forward to in the future. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Final words from you guys, and where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future? Starting with Mr. Sam. What's going on, bro?
Hey, well, I am going to be racing a downhill mountain bike professionally in the near future, so we'll see how that goes. I've been hitting the gym and the mountaintop very frequently, so we'll see if we can get a big old W for the DGen Roundtable. We'll consider my effort in service of the DGen Roundtable. Y'all have supported me through my hardest times. It's the least I can do.
I would love to
otherwise I'll be
offer a sponsorship sticker of the DGen Roundtable. I'd be happy to give you a DGen Roundtable sticker that you can put places. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but if you need a sticker, bro, I've got stickers. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I've got a big white van, and if you want to pay for the vinyl, I'll put it on the van.
Ooh,
Tempting.
Oh wait, the vinyl, meaning the vinyl being a sticker, or is the
sticker.
vinyl like a wrap thing?
Just a big sticker.
Okay.
Basically,
I will take this under advisement. But sorry, continue. You're doing a race, and the DGen Roundtable might be a sponsor.
Yeah. So that's a thing happening. We've got Rapid Designs is always growing and learning and flowering into this big, wonderful thing. So if anybody knows builders and those builders need plans, then that's who I can talk to. That's the problems I could solve for those people. Otherwise, man, once this podcast van gets finished, then hopefully I'll be able to travel around and meet some cool people and talk about some cool things. Maybe I'll head over to Zenith over there and do something sick.
Hey, if you're in the area, I'm down.
Hell yeah, bro. What about you?
You got
Z?
mountains
Where-
over there, I think.
We got some
Oh, yeah.
mountains. I used to have a lot better mountains when I was back in Washington. I don't know. I used to live in Bellingham, Washington. There
Oh
was
my goodness.
world class mountain biking out there.
That is, yeah.
It's
Zenith, are you a mountain biker yourself?
I got into it a little bit, but ever since I broke the old ankle, I really haven't touched it.
As a person who spent the better part of an entire day driving up and down in the mountains over nearby Zenith, trying to find a job site, I will say that there are a lot of mountains over in New Mexico. So this would be a good time. So you guys would have a lot of fun. What about you, Z? Where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future, bro?
Folks, you can find myself over on X and Instagram at ZenithDI. More importantly, you can find myself and the rest of these fine gentlemen inside the community Telegram, which you can join by scanning the QR code right there. That'll get you inside the DGen Roundtable Telegram, where you can catch the ongoing chat and see all of our fun side channels, where I am still being shamed for not watching all of Free Run yet. Uh, outside of that, we're going to be back on Sunday for our flagship news show at 8 p.m. Eastern time, as is all of our streams here. We're going to be talking about the latest and greatest in the crypto world and all the news surrounding it. We're going to be back on Wednesday for a Whiskey Wednesday, where we're going to hang out with you, the community, and you can even hop on camera on the panel here with us, talk about whatever you want. We'll always try to chase down some wild ideas and at least provide you with something entertaining along the way. And then, yes, next Friday, we're going to be back with Book Club, where I will be hosting, and I will let you know what the book is on Sunday. But outside of that, for the book, I know that this is a foundational document, so to speak, when it comes to kind of the personal journey that I've been going through with really thinking about like moral and philosophical and political thought. This is one I have not gotten to yet. I have ordered a physical copy. I will be reading it. And when I'm done with it, I can probably give you the 0 to 10,000 hour scale. Although, to be honest, I imagine this is going to be somewhere along the lines of a lot of the other kind of like philosophical and ideological stuff we've talked about, which is like, is this going to be foundational for, or is it going to be helpful for you in your personal life? I would argue probably not. But if you are interested in actually like having formed opinions and making sure that your trains of logic flow and that you actually have a basis of your ideas and you're not just spouting the opinions of others, this is one of those books that I do believe is in that stepping stone list of going from the really old ideas of Socrates, going through the Enlightenment, getting to the founding of the United States, and then building on it and seeing the evolution of that process. So yeah, I think this is an important book. We'll be reading it. And once I have, I will be happy to talk more about it. But until then, overall, look, the ideas are easy to digest. It's a lot of stuff that's building on top of each other stuff. So you just got to understand what this small iteration is. And in this case, it's kind of just the idea of applying natural law to the national level of a country dealing with other countries.
Hell yeah.
That is all I got, good sir.
I like it. I like it. I like that you're actually ordering a physical book yourself as well. That's awesome. Folks, for you guys at home that want to know where you can find me in Telegram at t.me/Will Stevenson. You can find me on X at Will Stevenson X. And more importantly, just like Zena said, you can find us in the DRT. For those of you guys that are listening, the link is t.me/DRT. Join now. We stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, generally speaking. And it'll be a good time. And with that being said, I would like to thank you all for spending your valuable time with us here on the DGen Roundtable. As Agent Jay often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending that time right here with us. But before we go, I forgot there's 2 more chat motherfucking shout-outs to cover. We've got Arceus is rocked and rolled on in here asking, can Sam be sponsored by chat shout-outs? That is almost possible. Almost possible. I have to figure out how to get the money out of YouTube at some point. I know that that's there is a chunk of it sitting in there. YouTube is basically the DGen Roundtable's bank account because it's one of those things that I have not solved yet. But yeah, there is certainly a bunch of money in there, and I don't know if that would be the best use of it. It'd probably be better to pay for StreamYard and and other such things. But there we go. So yeah, it is probably possible to sponsor once the DGen Roundtable is big enough and rolling in money, then that might be something that we do. But yeah, it's good to see Arceus. Welcome to the show. And then we've also been joined by Tam Hexkin, who says, hello, gents. Hello to you too, Tam. Shout out to Hexico's #1 cheerleader. Glad we can have you with us. Rocking and rolling on in here just before we end the show. Perfect timing. No sweat. And Sam, Moondodge suggests you can just wear the sticker on your forehead come race day. Maybe you can wear it in front of your goggles on your headset, so that way everywhere you look, you just see nothing but DGen Roundtable.
I'll just put it on the goggles. Yeah,
put it on the goggles, and don't wear those those lens ripper things. Just use the sticker instead. So, anyways, thank you for the valuable time. DGen Roundtable, blah blah. HJ, time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending that time right here with us, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Will Stevenson. Whoops! I guess I got that trigger finger a little bit excessive. I'm working with the mouse pad.
Negligent discharge.
We're getting a little bit excited here, folks. My name is Will Stevenson. This is Sam, and that's Zenith. But more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable, and I'm the producer who's getting all of his shit under control. And it's time for me to get that trigger finger ready so that way I can remind you folks at home to remember to DGen responsibly.